Hello and welcome to Highly Informed. I'm your host, Sean Salvaje. Highly Informed is all about entheogenic education and news you can use when it comes to the world of cannabis and psychedelics. I'm here today with Rico Lamitte. Hi. Rico, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Rico, to be really honest, because Rico was a big part of me reconnecting to my voice, not only as a Latina in cannabis and being a bit more like open about that, but also as a retired journalist. Like Rico had belief in me, got me like knocking the dust off some old skill sets, and here we are now filming an episode together. So Rico, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being the kind of person in cannabis who like shows up when they have faith in someone, they believe in something that's real, and putting your energy towards projects like that. You know, what's new with you? You're out in California.
Yeah. Some stuff I can talk about, some stuff I can't. What I would like to say, what's new, I guess, in the world of Rico is baby girl's gonna be 2. I am the dopest dad in, on Earth 616, which is like our Earth and the multiverse.
Yeah.
So, baby girl turns 2, April 8th. We're having a crazy Sesame Street party, at the park in Lamert Park. Shout out to Lamert Park. And Sesame Street themed. And of course, I'm going to be the greatest Sesame Street character of all time.
Who are you going to be?
Oscar.
I love Oscar. My dad had bushy eyebrows, and I always thought he reminded me of Oscar the Grouch. He was also in the military, so it made a lot of sense because he was a little grouchy. But I love Oscar. He's like one of my favorite unsung characters.
I feel like Oscar was just misunderstood.
Yeah.
Because he kept it real. Everybody else was optimistic shit. Sesame Street, like all of the characters, they lived in like the ghetto,
yeah.
Right? You know what I'm saying? Like Oscar was like, don't do that. Don't talk to those people. Nobody listened to him. And they didn't listen to him. Why? Because he had mental health issues.
Oscar the Grouch?
He did.
He
was diagnosed with body dysmorphia. What else was it? Disassociated.
I could see that.
Personality disorder, is that what it is? Identity. And it was like something else I forgot, but this documentary came out on it.
I need to look into this. Okay, so Sesame Street is complex. I love.
No, I was absolutely joking right there, but
no, but it really is.
You can break it down.
It really
is so complex, and I love talking about like different stuff. Like like Bert and Ernie. Obviously, they're like the. I feel like Ernie is like. Bert and Ernie are like the couple that everybody like thought was hooking up, but they like go to college and they come back. They're all like bougie and educated. Yeah. They're like the educated gay couple, and Big Bird's like the ambiguous auntie. You know what I'm saying?
It is Big Bird is an auntie.
Yeah, Snuffleupagus is like straight up dope.
I love
dope
Snuffy.
Fiend. Dope fiend.
Is that why?
Come on, Bird.
That's hilarious.
Right.
Snuffy was my guy. I was like, man, I'd chill with Snuffy. That's cool.
Snuffy is always fucking packing.
For me, it was Oscar, it was Snuffy, it was Grover too. I know Grover was like a little bit of a spaz, but I had a lot of love for him. Like it was like his heart was in it.
I feel like Grover's a snitch.
Was he a snitch really?
Just look at him, dude.
I don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
I have to think about this. But I love that you bring it up because honestly, I know it seems like kind of funny, but
Grover is the ops.
Is he? No, yeah. Grover's part of the family. We got to figure out where Grover
Super
fits
Grover?
in.
Come on, man.
We'll see. But I love that. I mean, honestly, after the military, I actually did look at working for Sesame Street Productions.
I would have loved to. It was dope.
It was really, and they were really talking about ways to influence what was happening or break down complicated issues for kids in spaces, growing up in spaces where there were really complex topics to discuss. And you're a father, so and your daughter connects through Sesame Street. Like I know one of the recent characters that they added was a character who also had autism, and I felt like when I was
I read about that.
Yeah, when I was going through the process, because I was a producer, I was in documentary journalism and communication strategy, and I wanted to be in a business that was doing good. And I was like, you know what? I'm in New York. Sesame Street makes a ton of sense. And I had my boys, they were really little at the time. It made perfect sense. Unfortunately, I wasn't qualified enough. Apparently, you have to be really stacked to work at Sesame Street.
How, the character already debuted, right?
Yeah, the character had already debuted, and I thought it was really incredible because it helped people to break down understanding different lenses and perspectives. You know what would be amazing?
What's that?
The day that we get to talk about cannabis on Sesame Street with the kids.
I think they already talked about it.
Did they?
Yeah, I'll send you like this link that's online. It's like Elmo is totally like buying drugs from this.
Get out of here. So this is how Rico gets me though, is no way.
I'm dead serious. You bring it up? like
No, don't bring it up. We're going to have to investigate this. Speaking of...
Somebody in here knows about the clip I'm talking about. Like, the dude comes out with a fucking...
Oh, that one! That's right!
Opens up the jacket.
But that was 7/8.
Yo,
that was 7/8.
I got this
so
nine.
They had the jokes.
I got this
no,
nine.
I'm not talking about the subliminal.
Yeah.
I'm talking about for real though, when we
Yo.
can have like conversations around wellness or conversations around like the war on drugs or conversations
It has to be
around...
innuendos. Obviously, the haters are already like steadily hating on Sesame Street. Everything Sesame Street does.
Really?
Always.
I had no idea. I love it.
Sesame Street gets so much hate. They got defunded by fucking remember when Mitt Romney was running for president?
Yeah.
Shit, like they actually like pushed that shit through. Like defunded. That's why Sesame Street is on HBO now.
Well, and public broadcasting
Like-
is really in a tough place because it is funded. The public broadcasting system is an education system that was designed for children,
Cut the funding.
funded by the government.
But yo,
yeah,
get this. HBO also bought Cinemax, right? So you can like switch from like softcore porn to Sesame
oh
Street.
Lord,
Just like that.
That's true. You can, but
So if
hopefully,
you're into
hopefully.
furries, yeah.
I mean, that's kind of, well, let's talk about that. When it comes to cannabis, then let's talk about corporate cannabis and how you can have this dichotomy because that's really interesting. You're looking
Chads
at...
are totally into furries.
Chads are into furries?
Yeah.
What about when it comes to like corporate cannabis, how the Chads are showing up and how we can improve conditions and do better?
Okay.
Like, is that where we want to go for this or do we want to go somewhere else?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah?
Yeah. People look at it too black and white,
Okay.
right? When there is no pure black, there's no pure white anymore. Everything from the bullshit marketing of sativa and indica, when everything's a hybrid and people are calling it like strains instead of cultivars. Like we're so confused as an industry and nobody really consumes real information here. So I'm just gonna say something real. Like
Be real. This is the place to be real.
Motherfuckers aren't organized enough to fucking fight a war against billions of dollars.
Yeah. I think that's a real issue.
That's the real fucking shit.
We need to like Sesame Street the fuck out of ourselves in cannabis because you're
Yeah,
right.
dumb it down.
It's the basics.
Dumb it down and piecemeal it to people so it's palatable. Like even you said like the state of cannabis in California, right? So it's depressing.
Yeah.
Why is it depressing? Because nobody's on the same page about anything with this plant because my plight was worse than yours. My struggle was worse than yours. These people hurt me more. But we fought for legalization instead of fighting for decriminalization or fighting for descheduling where people can learn about the plant. It can be more about education. Like, nah. You want to legalize it, so all the quote-unquote Chads, as some people call them, they flew in because it's capitalism. It's an opportunity.
You're dead on.
And people with a runway have opportunity to take advantage of an opportunity. And then people who have less money, they get dangled this bullshit fruit in front of them. Like, oh yeah, we're going to help you do this, help you do that. Like, in reality, motherfuckers need to take a half-second step back. Look at the big picture. You're not going to get in. That is the truth. A few people might squeak in, but people overall, like...
If we keep operating on this individual, yeah. But what do you think?
It's...
Even on the MSO level? Are you saying even on that level?
They're going to win. Like, we're not together. And we're at that point in the industry. This is the most important midterm election in the history of our nation, let alone like our industry. And Republicans are owning the conversation, and all they care about is money. So with me, like I just tell people straight up, like when people come to me, especially people new to the industry, I'm like, don't get emotional about it. If you want to touch the plant, like I hope you at the very minimum have $2 to $3 million liquid to fight off the heartbreak.
Yeah, I learned that last year. I dabbled in cultivation. You guys all told me. Everybody they always tell, I mean, I love the plant. I will always.
Multimedia.
Right?
Hold a mic.
Ancillary.
Don't be in front of the camera.
I mean, there's other.
You'll always have a job.
Exactly. I mean, there's that. That's what I kind of found is like, look, I'm happy I got my reps in on cultivation a little bit because I learned, one, I got to tap back into some roots I have here in Texas after moving back from New York, and I needed that. I needed to be reconnected to the earth. So there is that if people need it. But on a business side,
grow your own.
Truth be told, on a business side, it also helped me. I think some of those failures are some of the places where we learn the most. Like I learned so much from that experience. Trusting the wrong people, getting the wrong information, going through that first rep with cultivation where you're gonna fuck it up. And I think people need to embrace that you're gonna fuck it up. And you gotta learn, you gotta be willing to learn and keep going. But
let me push back a little bit on that.
Go for it.
Enough people have fucked up that the data is out there and the information is out there that you don't have to fuck up as bad.
That's true. And I stopped bleeding a lot sooner because of it.
And that's what I tell people, especially when you see multi-state organizations, multi-state, it's not just the companies. I'm talking about like trade organizations, whatnot. Like, oh yeah, this person came and they ripped me off. They did this. Like,
yeah, that happens.
Why didn't you call people in other states where they already did that
and
ask
find
them,
out
what is your experience with these people? Because everybody's doing it. It's a federally illegal industry, so there's a bunch of corporate vultures coming in here, and sharks. The vultures and the sharks. The vultures are coming in, they're picking apart the carcasses of people who have made all these dumbass mistakes because they haven't listened to everybody else, and it's predictable. And then the sharks come in there, and they jump in, they demolish everything when it comes to like the small operators, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. Like no, motherfucker, you're not gonna do that. We are moving towards just like huge conglomerates in every part of our economy globally. What makes you think that you from the street is going to fight this system alone, and try to prosper? It's not going to happen. There's too much political sensitivity in the industry right now, and motherfuckers, like I said, like motherfuckers showed up to a football game with basketball shorts on and getting their knees taken out. They believe that it is this, but like, no, motherfucker, it's not that. They sold you that.
California
they're just
is
straight
really
up being finessed because they're not checking for the real prices. They're not checking for the real sourcing.
The basics, business basics.
The bare minimum.
Why do you think when I first entered, I was honestly shocked at what because I had been in startup business for at least 7 years by that point, and I had been coaching startups. So I was seeing all sorts of different issues and learning how to watch different leaders manage them, watch different leaders struggle through them, and then the ones who were willing to learn, coach them through it. The ones who weren't, you damn sure I learned from them too, and then eventually cut those contracts because they learned the hard way. What do you think it is? I was shocked to see that we lack this, especially considering like I don't come from a total corporate background. Originally, like I grew up in the projects, so where I learned about trust, managing, and relationship was in that environment, because you learn that stuff when you're a kid. It's like Sesame Street, right? So you learn in these environments, and what I was always told in that environment, and then also it's like the link between learning something in the streets and learning something in the military is that you learn and then you adapt and change. Like you try not to take it too personally, and you recognize that there is something bigger that's at play that you can mold from. This is just approaching things from a tactical approach. When I entered cannabis, I was surprised to see even that there were so many people who weren't approaching it this way. Legacy operators, definitely, there are some who definitely do. They know that you need to double check and make sure that everything is in order, because the consequence can be much more severe than what you expect if it isn't. But then there are a lot of people who are playing cowboy, and they're really going to end up getting burned at the end of this. What do you, like, how do you, I was shocked by it. Why do you think this has been the development or the evolution of the industry to this point?
It was by design.
By design?
Yeah. It was by design. The cannabis industry is a microcosm of the greater United States of America. Mm-hmm. Everything from globalization to interstate trade, like everything is like micro. People don't understand there's like a lot of like mini trade wars happening within America, like on a regular basis, from raw materials to grain, just all different kinds of stuff that goes on that we don't even pay attention to. The biggest thing in the cannabis industry that people aren't opening their eyes to right now is conservatives inching toward just like pushing safe banking. Mm-hmm. Right? Like everybody, including like major, I won't say any on here, but major trade organizations, they're supposed to be looking out for protected classes of people. They're supporting the safe banking law. And they're ignoring the fact that, you know, for every 6 white individuals that get home loans in America, mm-hmm. 1 person of color gets that loan. Mm-hmm. So if you pass safe banking right now, you know who wins? The MSOs and then the giant banks that actually invested in them. Major thing, parallel to look at, the way that Jamie Dimon from Chase Bank, right, from JP Morgan Chase, he was shitting all over like Bitcoin like 3 months before his entire investment team declared that they see that this time next year it's going to be like $120,000. Right? Mm-hmm. They say one thing and they're allowed to say that when they have an opposite position on whatever that investment is. So they move the market one way. It's the same thing that you saw Wolf of Wall Street?
Yeah. Come on, Matthew McConaughey.
It's a pump and dump on the highest level. I used to be in corporate finance, and we did the same thing. You know, we can work with a firm for X amount of dollars. You put your analysts, fucking actors, your analysts on CNBC or whatever, they talk whatever about this certain stock, this position, whatever.
You put your PR rep. You put your PR rep
and
on
you have
news.
the exact opposite position on it. It's market moving, but it's legal when you do it on a certain level, right?
Because you have enough of the paperwork, the trail to
You're paying enough people. You
buffer.
have enough runway,
right,
to survive. Oh yeah, like I'm gonna make $3 billion off of this big block trade, and if the SEC catches me, it's a $200 million fine.
I can pay $200 million.
Cost of doing business.
Yeah, exactly.
Same shit that's happening right now in the cannabis industry. The same shit. They're trapping just like we're trapping in the streets, but you know what? They have enough money to pay for everything behind the scenes. Oh, you caught me?
Take the hit.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me pay this, and they're good to go. And people are so worried about, oh, this is racist. Oh, my plight versus yours. Oh, yeah, we should be doing this. No, motherfuckers, you should be going to business school and find out how to play that game, because that game is winning in America and it's winning in our industry.
I feel like you have to have this balance of both. But the problem in cannabis sometimes is that we do focus on the people. And I mean, the people are really important. We've just had all these conversations about the people. The people... It's almost like the mother bear in me and the veteran in me comes out. I can't care for people without resources. So I have to be very strategic about how I'm cultivating these things. Even in cultivation, you have to be smart. When things aren't growing, when they're not working, you have to pull those things. Be willing to cut shit that doesn't work and be resourceful, business-like about it.
What's working right now?
What's working right now? For me, personally, I mean, I can't really testify.
Like the big picture.
I mean, big picture wise.
The big picture.
Big picture. That's what I feel like is actually what we need to look at, is what is working for us on individual levels, because that seems to be a place where we can tap into new ways to create. But absolutely, the biggest things that I've learned is you have to cultivate community. Right. You do have to have purpose and people at the center and the heart of it. But just like any military formation, there must be you have to have the sword, the shield, the resources, the structure, or else how are you really building a house to protect your family? Like we focus a lot on family and community, and I'm all about that. But I also recognize you're right. We're in a world with sharks and vultures. And so I don't want to become a shark or a vulture. I really like to try to create those blue oceans, and I'm looking for cannabis to try to do the same thing. But if it comes down to it, I also have to recognize sharks and vultures have developed systems that can work, and where I can take from that knowledge of understanding, adapt it, bring in my ancestry and heritage and community building, then I'm gonna make sure I do that. That's what I've been trying to see work. And I gotta say, it's been better than what I did last year, which was trying cultivation, because I agree with you. And I couldn't trust anybody, and I tried cultivation totally on my own. And it was really hard to do it alone.
You know the problem with wanting to swim with the sharks?
Ooh, tell me about wanting to swim with sharks.
You gotta build a cage.
You're right about that.
You have to put a shield around yourself if you want to play their game. So in a sense, it's lost before you even cast the first stone.
I hear you.
So this is what I'm saying. The problem isn't the people. The problem is the system, the game that we're attempting to play. It was not built for us. This industry was not built for that system. This plant is giving. Every part of this plant is giving, right? From the medical capabilities, from the spiritual capabilities, the social capabilities, the economic capabilities, right? It's enough to build abundance for us all to eat. However, that's the game we're playing. The game they're playing is to grow and to sell as much as they can so they can have as many shiny objects to suit their own needs. You know, that's the American version of capitalism. Like I was saying before, yeah, it's a shitty system. It screws over a lot of people. However, I like dope shit.
I do too. I'm not gonna lie.
So how can we support a people-only based industry when we like shiny shit as well? It's not necessities-based desire, right? There's selfish needs, selfish wants. Those thoughts creep into our system, but it's okay. You talk about balance. I think it's okay to have that. What I believe about the corporate side of cannabis, the MSOs and the quote unquote chads, they have a place in our industry. People say, oh, they don't belong. Yes, they do. Cannabis is America. Those people have a place in society. I just hope there's more of me than those guys. But also, the trappers, the people underground, whatever, we need those people because those people are about the money. They know how to play the system. Let them play the system. Let them play the game. Let's play our game. That's my way of thinking is, we have business, wellness, and lifestyle, community, the culture, where everything came from, right? We all need to work together for this thing to work. And people just talking shit and say, oh, we can't do this, we can't do that. Motherfucker, it already happened in real mainstream America. You can keep on fighting it all you want, or you can find a way to get inside that system, to infiltrate it, and to change it from within. But I'll say some real controversial shit, so. Most of us are not about that assassination life.
I know. I'm finding out.
That's your fucking deal. You can go, that's how you change society. But most of us are not. And if you're not about that life, find a way to infiltrate the system and change it from within. Because if you're not, quit being emotional, play the game.
Assassination life is you got to be strategic about it too. There's heart, but you got to be strategic about it.
I ain't about that life.
You're not about that life? No?
I'm not about that life. So I'm yes, it sucks this person is in power, but you know what? Take a half step back away from the macro view, understand what's going on, try to find an angle, and then return to the micro view, your community, your family, your friends, your municipality, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Those are things you can control. Those are things you can actually have a say in without losing your soul.
Absolutely.
So you need to stay on the micro side, control the controllable. But you have to be aware of the big picture and make your moves accordingly. And right now, the big picture, Republicans are going to win in a landslide for the midterm elections, and cannabis is most likely going to be legalized under conservative power.
I think you're right about that. I mean,
yeah. So people have to adjust. They have to adapt. If they get angry and start like oh yeah, I can't believe this, kill that shit. Like this is America. Like if things go up and down, move accordingly and make money.
I mean, I think there's two, because like America also has that foundational fighting spirit.
Do we really?
We do.
This country was conquered by a bunch of fucking white people.
I know.
And they used slave labor to fight off the other white people that were fighting.
I know. I hear you. I know, it's fucked up. Maybe it's my own brainwashing.
Yes, it is your own brainwashing. Like,
but I'm also, Hannah, we're in Texas.
Right.
The indigenous
This
people.
is fucking Mexico.
They're indigenous.
We're in Mexico right now.
But before it was Mexico, this was other people's
I was at a
land.
club last night with Dan, and I heard nothing but Mexico.
Thank you. We're native to this space. We're native to this space, and for me,
right.
It's my home, so I have to fight for it.
So as we were saying earlier in our pre-talk, I'm like, is it, how does it affect you? And you see this appropriation of tacos everywhere.
Yeah.
You see like all these melanin deficient individuals, and they're making like tacos out of everything.
Yeah, well, I think like
something as minuscule as that. Like, would you get all hung up on it, or would you just capitalize off of it and get it?
I like the get it. I like that, but I'm also like, let me also help you bring some soul into this, because they don't know. You know when it's not real. You know it when it's not real. It's bland. Like
you say something like that,
both.
but you don't go and you don't go trash that store and like,
No.
I feel like negative.
No,
Like, how many years did it take for that to happen?
I think for me, what I learned, like one of the greatest lessons I learned was that when people were doing that, eventually, and this is true in cannabis too, legacy side, legal side.
That's what I was getting at.
If you fuck it up and you're building yourself this kind of reputation, it eventually, like cannabis, if you aren't really tapped in, your weed probably sucks. Let's be honest. And then on the same note, if you're like on that side, if you're culturally appropriating and you're not appreciating and you're not understanding or trying to build connections to understanding, the likelihood is that you will reveal yourself. I don't need to stress about that. My job is to bring people with me, uplift, bring them along for that ride that we talked about, that cannabis smoke. Control the controllable. I can't control this. I can't control that. And I can't control their approach. What I can control is how I show up and how many people I bring with me. So eventually we are the dominant voice of the conversation. That's all I can do. So I let them sweat themselves out.
How do you avoid turning that dominant voice in the conversation into an echo chamber?
It's really hard, Rico. I'm still tackling that right now because we deal with that every day in our interactions, don't we?
That's why I engage with everybody.
Yeah. Listen. I think mostly
I don't
listen.
silence anybody. I don't if you say some ignorant shit, I'll let you know you're saying some ignorant shit. But if we're getting money together, we're getting money together. Like this is something that's happened in our industry forever, but all of a sudden shit's getting legalized and people are getting all sensitive about this and about that, and they're getting left behind. Because even before this legalization effort, the cannabis industry was more like the quote unquote free market.
Yeah.
It's about the numbers. Do you produce the numbers? Let's make some money. I don't care about who you are, where you came from. I don't care about your background. This plant is great. It's the best on the market because of X, Y, Z. You have some. I have buyers. Let's transact. Right
So
now,
for you,
it's too personal right now, and the rest of America is not. They're moving forward. The rest of the world is not. They're moving forward. Well, we're worried about Donald Trump when he was still our president, like sending racist tweets and like all that shit. You know what? 2 Decembers ago, the United Nations and World Health Organization decided to decriminalize worldwide, and they moved forward on cannabis as medicine and industrial hemp. You know what? America's still trying to decide, like, oh yeah, we're still so butthurt from like the war on drugs. Yes, I agree. It needs to be assessed. It needs to be talked about. You gotta process before you progress. However,
We still have to meet
You
progress.
believing that these white people are going to actually give you a fucking dollar when you ask them for that shit, they're not going to give you a dime for it, is some bullshit.
Well, that's what I
when
kind
have
of
they ever
always
given
said.
you anything here?
That's what I said. Like being here in Texas, I was always like, I can't wait for equity. I'm going to have to create my space. So
fuck equity. Give me reparations.
Well, let's say this is your final thoughts, Rico. You got the floor. This is your mic.
Yeah.
Final thoughts.
I believe in the philosophy behind social equity. I do not believe in the philosophers. Fuck social equity. Give me reparations. 1 out of every 1,000 people of color that's trying to get into this industry actually gets a license. Sounds like the same old American shit to me.
We're all fighting for like this golden ticket to nowhere.
It's not leading to nowhere. There are some people that squeak through. However, it's very unlikely. It's the same as me when I was playing college football.
You have to fight.
They sold me on a
really
fucking dream that I had 3% chance of making it to the NFL. 3%.
You're right.
So I sacrificed my body, my mind, everything. I take entire football schedule in college that adheres to football. My coach would always say, you know what, you're a student first, football second.
Why?
Student first, football second. Everything's behind football. Period. Always. And you know what? I graduate from school, I get hurt training for the NFL, and I'm selling dope like everybody else on the street. Doesn't matter. That's what America is. So people need to stop fucking like thinking about this shit like, oh yeah, it's gonna be different, it's gonna be different. No, it's not.
All right.
So it's not me being pessimistic about anything. I'm just saying like we need to fight for reparations and stop getting distracted by little shit like cannabis equity. You want to build your business, you build your business. But if you like fight for equity, these people don't want to give you equity. They want to distract you while they fucking make the rules and they get back in office. And guess what? And then it's game over.
Yep, and the fine print always reveals there's no equity. Not in the programming. I hear you what you're saying. You like the concepts, the philosophy, not the philosophers.
Yes.
Philosophers are a little bit already biased in one direction. And so we must learn to play in the environments that we are put in, learn how to pivot and change from there. And then transition, hopefully.
We got
to be where we are.
We just got to learn how to separate things and realize like this is business, this is emotion. You show up to a business meeting, check your emotions at the door and move accordingly, right? Like read the audience and understand that are these the type of people that you would be friends with outside of business and stop treating them like they're going to be friends. It's not disrespectful. Like always have respect for people, but let them know like this is what it is, this is what it's not.
Setting those boundaries and expectations.
You got to because we don't have time to do anything else.
I hear you.
My prediction, federal legalization is becoming either right before or right after midterm elections.
Yeah.
And then everybody's like, oh shit, got caught with your pants down, and what are you gonna do now?
We'll see our midterms, or it's going to be, I think they'll use that for leverage for midterms and then keep it hostage until federal because it's a good play for the Democrats. And honestly, I look at it that way because it is a play between two teams. Right. We've made it that way. Hopefully we can find a new road ahead because I'm telling you, this whole split between two lesser two evils, we got to get beyond that. We got to break beyond the grass ceiling.
You know how I feel about all that stuff.
I do. I have so much love for you, Rico. Thank you so much.
Down.
Burn it all down. I'm over here like, it's my home, brother. No, but thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Highly Informed. Rico, I appreciate you so much. Thank you. And y'all stay elevated out there, stay high, and always keep it real.
Hey, when life gives you no place else to turn, you can always turn the fuck up.
Turn up. That's Rico Lamitte.
Do 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 do.